Welcome to One Piece Explained. Hey guys, my name's Flash and today I'm going to be explaining Luffy's gear forms. If you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like and comment down below to let me know. Let's get right into explaining second gear. Gear Second, also known as second gear in the Funimation dub, is the first of many transformations that Monkey D. Luffy can use. Second gear made its first appearance in October 2005, chapter 387 of the manga, which was a long time ago. Luffy first activates second gear and tells Blue Ono, which is a member of CP9, that I've thought of a way to fight with all my strength so I won't lose to anybody, so I won't ever have to lose anybody. You won't be able to catch up with me anymore. All of my techniques have evolved by one step. First off, let's quickly break down second gear visually, since you know there's a little bit of change to Luffy. Luffy, when using second gear, has reddish skin and steam coming out all over his body. The red skin and steam comes from the blood flowing rapidly through his body, creating friction, thus heating up his body, making his skin turn/grow red and produce steam. With this transformation, Luffy pretty much starts doping. And for those of you who don't know what doping is, essentially doping is adding more red blood cells to the body parts, which in turn allows for greater delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the body parts. In Luffy's case, his organs and blood vessels are made of rubber, allowing them to expand and contract at greater rates without them tearing. Though Luffy's fighting style hasn't changed, his speed and strength have more than doubled. But let's be honest, this transformation does have its downsides as well. Yes, Gear Second speeds up his movements, but also speeds up his metabolism, causing him to be hungrier or even leaving him paralyzed, as well as shortening his lifespan every time he uses it, which is kind of a shock to most because Luffy's the main character, and obviously using this move pretty much means that he's gonna die at a pretty much young age. But after the 2-year time skip, Luffy has almost complete control over this technique, which is a good thing. He can now use it at will and whatnot, and he is now capable of using second gear in one particular part of his body. The time it takes to activate second gear is cut down as well. He can now do it instantly, and he doesn't even have to use his normal Gear Second stance. Moves that Luffy uses in Gear Second to take down his enemies include Gomu Gomu no Jet Bazooka, Gomu Gomu no Jet Pistol, Gomu Gomu no Gatling, and even attacks including Haki such as Gomu Gomu no Red Hawk. And there's also many others that he does in, other episodes of the series, but those are pretty much the main ones. Gear Third, known as Gear Third in the Funimation dub. Now, Gear Third is a bit more simple than Gear Second to explain, so let's go ahead and get right into it. The Gear Third transformation starts off by Luffy taking his stance and biting his thumb, breathing a huge amount of air into his arm and inflating it to the size that of a giant's arm. Luffy is able to bring the air from his arm into other parts of his body, such as his chest, to block/deflect the enemy attack. One of the downsides is the amount of time it takes for Luffy to actually transfer the air to another body part, so it kind of leaves him open to enemy attacks while he's doing so. Now, like Gear Second, there's a downside to Gear Third, not including how big of a target Luffy is in Gear Third. After deactivating it, he starts to shrink as a side effect. Now, Gear Third does shorten Luffy's lifespan as well, so keep that in mind. That's another side effect of Gear Third. Overall, after the time skip, Luffy has managed to also control this form, being able to move better and using it to make different techniques such as Gomu Gomu no Giant Pistol, Gomu Gomu no Rocket, Gomu Gomu no Giant Bazooka, and even Haki for other techniques such as Gomu Gomu no Elephant Gun, Gomu Gomu no Elephant Gatling, and many more. Now, moving forward, this isn't really a gear, but I feel as I should explain this as well because this is a transformation for Luffy that we have seen in the anime and the manga. To briefly explain Nightmare Luffy would be to say, while fighting Moria, Luffy managed to free the shadows that Moria has gathered up and containing 100 shadows within himself. In this form, Luffy grew to be around the size of Moria himself and his skin turned completely blue. Luffy has also lost his normal attitude and started speaking more serious, which is unusual for the Luffy that we know in the series. With this form, Luffy's strength has grown to surpass the giant oars. Luffy even stops the Gomu Gomu no rifle attack by oars with one hand and ends up taking him down. His speed also was similar to that of his Gear Second form, saving Nami and Usopp from oars in seconds. In this form, Luffy gains the ability to do whatever the shadows he has gathered could do. Example, one of the shadows belonged to a swordsman, so Luffy gained the skills of a pro swordsman for as long as the shadows remained inside him, which obviously we've never seen Luffy use a sword before, so that's pretty amazing. Even with all these power upgrades, the transformation only lasts 10 minutes. After that, all the shadows inside Luffy return to their original owner. Now, to my knowledge, there is no downside to this form other than the time limit. It also takes Moria to actually extract somebody's souls and Luffy being able to bring them inside of himself to actually go to this form. So it's kind of a form that we most likely won't ever see again, but it was a cool form nonetheless. Gear 4, also known as Gear 4th, aka Luffy's latest transformation in the manga as of date. So pretty much Luffy coats his arm in ultimate haki before biting his forearm. Yes, he bites his forearm, not his thumb, which is what he did for Gear 3rd. Luffy pretty much bites into his forearm while it's coated in haki to blow air into his body, but he also inflates his muscular structure before the air goes throughout his body. Now Luffy puts the air on his upper half, leaving his legs normal size, but overall I would like to say this form is a fusion of Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd, and Nightmare Luffy. I think you can see where I'm going with this, and I'll kind of explain a little bit more later. Luffy calls it Gear 4th Bounce Man simply because he is incapable of standing still on the ground in this form, so instead he bounces. The form was based off of the large animals on the island Luffy trained on in the movie 3 Days, 2 Years, so you can kind of see what he had to go through to kind of achieve this form. Of course the movie does not show the form, we only saw the form in the manga and now currently in the anime, so you don't get to see the form, but you do get to see the training that he had to go through to get said form. Luffy has overall grown taller and has expanded the upper half of his body, of course with the air and expanding his muscle structure. With his arms and legs coated with ultimate haki, Luffy also has tattoos forming a flame type shape around his neck and his shoulders. I assume this is kind of like an Ace tribute, but I really have no clue. With steam coming out of his body like he had in Gear 2nd and the air expansion like he used in Gear 3rd, as well as the overall body figure of Nightmare Luffy, you can pretty much see what I meant by fusion of all forms. Though the Gear 4th body shape is a bit different than Nightmare Luffy, you can kind of see where Oda took the transformations after Nightmare Luffy. You can definitely tell that Nightmare Luffy was somewhat in mind when making Gear 4th. With this power, Luffy was able to beat one of the Shichibukai, Don Quixote do Flamingo, which is by far one of the strongest among the 7, so yeah, this form's pretty powerful. In this form, Luffy can use moves such as Gomu Gomu no Kong Gun, Gomu Gomu no King Kong Gun, Gomu Gomu no Leo Bazooka, and many more. Of course, these are all coated with haki, so they're just that more powerful, but, like many transformations in any series, Gear 4th does have a limit. When this limit has been reached, Gear 4th automatically deactivates, leaving Luffy exhausted and unable to move. Luffy is also unable to use haki for 10 minutes, so, in this case, when he's fighting Doflamingo, when he runs out of this form, it was not good. It was not good. 10 minutes, everything could be over in 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a long time in a battle, so that is not a good side effect. But after using it for the second time in one battle, Luffy was unconscious for 3 whole days. Yes, 3 days. So using Gear 4th more than once, I guess, in one battle is very devastating to his body. So that's not good. And so far, Luffy has not mastered this form like the other ones, so that's about all he can do. Now, with Gear 2nd shortening his lifespan a little bit by bit, imagine how much Gear 4 shortens it. I can assume that Gear 3rd and Gear 4 shortens his lifespan as well, but it has never been mentioned except for the time they mentioned it on Gear 2nd. Now, pretty much with that being said, guys, this has been One Piece Explained. Today, we have explained all the Luffy gear transformations. If there's anything else you want me to cover in One Piece Explained, please leave a comment down below and let me know. And, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. So, peace.